Riveting content, empowering your life. Welcome to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680.
Welcome back to another edition of Injustice on the Sphere TV, where we discuss the laws of the land and how they affect you, the people. I'm your host, Brennan Dunn. You can reach me on Twitter at LegalMind. That's mine with a Y, because there's always a question to be asked and answered. Joined as always by the apple of my eye and the thorn in my side, Alicia Ford. How are you?
I am doing well, Brennan. That is a correct and accurate description of me all around. Welcome back, everybody, to Injustice. My name is Alicia Ford, your co-host here, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AllieOnSphere. And Brennan.
Yes, Alicia.
What's going on today?
Oh, well, you know, this week we've got, you know that saying, turnabout is fair play?
Yes.
Well, it looks like Louisiana, and more specifically Baton Rouge, is giving us a little bit of dose of that. We've got over in Baton Rouge where Louisiana police officer that was injured in a shootout last year filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Louisiana, citing that Black Lives Matter is responsible for the shooting, and its leaders are responsible for the shooting, namely vis-a-vis by inciting the violence that led to the attack and not doing anything to curb the animus that would have led to the attack. You know, I'm so amused by this, because when we say that police tactics lead to certain retaliatory issues, we're laughed at, mocked, and ridiculed, and say, well, you should have never done it in the first place. You know, it's not the police officer's job to keep you in line. But here we have a whole department saying this organization, by supporting the protection of their own, is responsible for certain individuals going out and being shot. Anytime a black person is involved in something, it seems that that one or those few represent the many. But let it be one of our counterparts, I believe that it reflects that, oh, that's just a bad seed, or this is one wayward person, this is an isolated incident. It never affects the total. And this paradigm shift, as it were, highlights just how privileged the other side is and how audacious they can be in their thought processes.
Well, I just think it's funny because of the sheer fact that you are now trying to place the actions on many, on like 5 people. I mean, they're now taking away individual responsibility, as if they said, let's go out into the streets, everyone, and start riots. And that's what we need to do here. Let's go ahead and harm people. Let us break laws and commit acts of violence against people and that's what we're encouraging you to do as Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And I think this is stupid. I believe it's going to get thrown out because there's no way. I mean, it is as with any riot. You can't control the individual actions of people. And yet, but still, even if you could, do they believe that in the middle of a riot, a message from those 5 people are going to hit the people who are causing harm? Like as if they're on their cell phones saying, you know, oh, you know what? They just told us stop, guys. So I think we need to. Like that's not what happens in the middle of the riot. Tensions are high. And it's not to say that they said, you know what? It's been a peaceful day today. We've gotten our fair justice. Right. Let's go riot. You know, it's a culmination. And I think the best way that I've heard it expressed is people say, a riot is when people feel that their voice is heard in no other avenue. And I think I heard something even better when they were talking about the New Jersey riots in the 60s. They said those weren't riots, those were rebellions. Okay, we are not rioting, we are rebelling against an unjust system. And when you think about it, this is exactly what's happening. There's an unjust system. It's shown time and time again that we as Black people are devalued in America by many, and we are rebelling against it because our voice, using the system that they tell us to, is still not heard.
But you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Black Lives Matter in this lawsuit file a counter petition, and in that counter petition say, well, but for the fact you weren't killing us, we wouldn't have had to start at Black Lives Matter. So ergo, you should be the ones who are responsible for your reckless endangerment of Black Lives Matter lives, because but for that, hey, look, we wouldn't be in the first place. And then see how they respond to that, because you're going to hold an organization responsible for individuals.
And it's a loose organization at that.
And then say, you know what? It's because of these leaders who didn't go out and tell them, hey, I need you to go shoot this officer right here. I need you to go beat this officer's ass right here. You're going to tell me that you're going to hold them responsible. So what are you going to reply to if they file a counter petition naming you as the inciter of the incitee?
I feel like we're just caught in a Cheeto dust storm of people not knowing what to do with themselves.
Cheeto dust storm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, this is look at how disgusting. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to catch myself. I was getting so disturbed in my spirit thinking about our president. I was about to go left.
Well, we'll get to him shortly.
Either way, I'm calming down. I'm coming back to the middle. Brennan, what are we going to move to next? Other than this is a BS lawsuit, and I hope that the court dismisses it.
I hope so too. But not until they file a counter petition and get a response.
Exactly.
Because I really want to see what they're going to do there. But we're going to stay on these cops for just a second. The third court, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit, actually handed down a ruling this last Friday, citing that the First Amendment rights of citizens to film police officers is intact, and you can go forth with your recordings, saying that it is a breach of the First Amendment right to stop them in that action. It says vital to promote access that fosters free discussion of governmental actions. I think that this is a right on move by the Third Circuit. You've seen, I'm sure you've seen some of the videos where cops are threatening to arrest people that are recording, taking their phones out of their hands, which to me is an assault, and doing other unscrupulous things in order to stop the visible recording of questionable activity by some of these officers. I think that this also is a step towards accountability on these officers, because the more we can see, the less they can lie about. The only issue that I have with this is that and this is going to go to a different going back kind of with your voting scenario, is that 2 out of 3 of these judges continue to say that police officers still hold this shield of immunity through qualified immunity from lawsuits based on their actions in a lot of different ways. It's very hard to sue a police officer for their wrongful actions. I think that particular statement that I just said goes to the fact that we have got to press our legislators to reevaluate some of these laws and change them, because this is a statutory thing. This isn't a constitutional thing where police officers have a constitutional right to not be sued for their actions. This is statutory. It's supposed to allow police officers to do their jobs without having to worry about, am I doing it without, am I doing it this right way? But I think laws need to change when the effects are no longer as intended, and they're no longer viable. Because in this, we see too many times we're not, now that we're getting a chance to visually see what happens with some of these cops, and we have more statistics that are coming out, we are now getting the opportunity to see that, hey, some of these cops shouldn't be afforded the protections that we wanted to give them for the purpose with which we intended to give it to them. I
am actually that brought me back. I was irate in the first story, and then this brought me all the way back to like a state of happiness. I think this is awesome that they are saying that we are allowed, that it is, you are in essence denying us our right to the First Amendment by telling me you need to stop filming. No, I don't. You need to talk to your department and have them educate you on Fields versus Philadelphia, which went to the city of Philadelphia, which went to the Supreme Court. So at that point, we now have, because when we think about it, what these cameras are providing, unfortunately, is accountability that was not present in the officers themselves. When there was a culture that I believe was happening where they knew that there was nothing to per se deny their version of events, other than, when they hit the stand, other than the other people that were involved and maybe some eyewitnesses, right? But now we actually have real-time video that can be played back and analyzed by juries and by judges who can see, and even still with those things, they act like they don't know what they're looking at, but still it brings more accountability. It brings more of the things that when, I remember reading a story where, a guy was like, and then the cop it was just something brutal. His attorney did not even believe him until he saw the video, and it's kind of like, but that is,
I remember that.
And
that was so ludicrous.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, why would he just randomly beat you for no reason?
Until he saw that he did.
Right.
And so it's kind of like when we have those kinds of actions taking place against citizens, and they have nothing but their word and their bruises, that you have to kind of, you're like, good job, Supreme Court. I really want to know what Gorsuch, I really need to look up and see what Gorsuch, if he wrote a dissent on this, because then I'd still tear into him. But I'm just going to act like he was all for this and just, say that I'm really happy with what the Supreme Court did here, because we need more avenues of being able to hold the police accountable that are acting wrongly towards citizens, even if they think they are suspected of breaking the law.
Absolutely. And I'm going to speak to that point. But what else we need is that we need people to tune in to Facebook and watch our show on Facebook Live. Subscribe to the show on all your major platforms, including reviewing our show on iTunes with constructive feedback. Make sure you share the Facebook Live post with all your friends, family, and people that don't even like you, because the more they know, the better they become. Make sure, if you can have the coins to give, then give them for only $1 a day. We too can be your children.
Oh my gosh, no.
Go to www.thesphere.tv/donate to help us help you bring you the news. Now, I wanted to say, it's about accountability, like you said. Police are supposed to protect us. They police us to make sure that we are safe. Only now, in this new age of social media, have we begun to formulate a new policy of the people policing the police that police them. And I think that we need to really start to push to change some of these legislative laws and say, look, this is a new dawn and a new day and a new age. And until you can open that veil and hurt them in the pockets, it's all about money. Money talks, money walks. And until you can say we're able to sue and stop some of these actions from occurring because it's going to hurt our bottom line, then they're going to continue to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if in this day and age, police officers need to be afforded that much of a buffer anymore, because these are lives being lost. This isn't the FCC where we can say, it's not going to hurt too many people, but when you can't get a life back.
Yeah.
And these guys, I mean, they just had a guy, one of these cops who killed a guy, just got a negotiated severance package for I think like $45,000 because he was acquitted. I think this the Philando Castile.
Oh, the Yanez.
Yeah, Officer Yanez. He was just given a negotiated a $45,000 deal for him to simply walk away without having to go through an administrative process to get his money. So he was paid. He was put on paid leave during the course of, I'm thinking it might have been unpaid leave during the course of this trial. Once he was acquitted, they said, look, because he was still on the payroll, we were saying, look, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of you, pay you off so you can go away. The city had to pay $3 million in a negotiated settlement agreement to the family, but it hurts when you see this guy who just got through killing somebody. That $3 million isn't coming out of his pocket. As a matter of fact,
it's coming out of mine.
It's coming out of mine and yours. As a matter of fact, he gets to make the rest of his money for the year, go find a new job, and live life.
I hope he lives a life of turmoil and torture. Like, what's that one down there?
He won't, because people like that feel vindicated and justified.
Zimmerman, there we go.
And he felt vindicated and justified too. I mean, these are the mentality that allows you to go through this and then sit there and smile at the end of the day is the kind of mentality that lets you know that you really didn't care in the first place.
It's the kind of mentality that lets you pull out a gun in cold blood and kill somebody in their car. That's
absolutely. I mean, the manner of man you are was shown in that action that you executed.
Exactly. And
so let's move on to another man who has shown his worth in our society. And
but before we move on to do that, I'm going to let you know that this portion of the show is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. And did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million of Americans don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say they don't have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let the Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email them at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask them how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services.
So as we move forward, I want to get into talking about President 45. But before we move on to 45, I want to say hello and goodbye to our Facebook Live followers.
Hi.
It has been a pleasure having you as avid and active listeners and participants on the show. And if you want to hear more about what we're going to talk about with President 45, then make sure that you go on www.thesphere.tv, watch the show, or you can go on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google, Android. We are everywhere that you want to be. Facebook, we will see you later.
Yes.
Now, a group of Twitter users were blocked by 45.
Uh-oh. For what? What did they do to him?
Well, they voiced their First Amendment opinions.
Like he does every day with his Twitter fingers.
And what he did was get salty. I don't know how Cheetos get salty, but, you know.
Saltier.
But 45 ended up blocking them. And what did they do? What the motto and theme for today is turnabout is fair play. They went and filed a lawsuit saying, hey, give us free speech in this. And open up thine Twitter to us, saying that it is blocking. By blocking them, they are the president has created a platform, an official platform that they should be entitled to see and to speak on. This is going to be an interesting one because the White House has previously said that the president, or actually not the White House, the courts have actually ruled that the president's tweets are official words from him.
Yeah, I'm glad that they do that.
So
what we
if
do.
these are official words from him, from our president,
I should be able to talk.
We should be able to see them, because when you're blocked on Twitter, you can't see those words.
So he blocked them from POTUS, whatever.
From his account.
Yeah,
but they're arguing, saying that, oh well, this is his private account, this isn't an official account, so he
but you're the president.
But you're the president, and there's a difference between, and some of you may not know this, but there's a difference between a private citizen and a public one, and that goes in as much as when you're talking about libel cases and slander and defamation cases. There's a difference between what you can sue as a private person, what people can know about you as a private person, versus what you're known as a public person. Once you become a public entity,
once you open yourself up to becoming a public entity or a persona,
there are certain privileges, so to speak, that you lose. And one of those they're citing is saying that, hey, he is a public figure. Moreover, he is the president of the United States. We are allowed as American citizens to know what our president is saying because it affects us on a day-to-day basis.
Hello.
I agree.
I mean, look, let's okay. Sometimes I'm learning to catch myself now. I think the first thing that it is that when you're thinking, dude, you have time to block people on Twitter, like of this whole country that you have to run.
I've never seen somebody
you have time to block
as a
people on Twitter.
CEO speak as much as he does. Like what? When are you running the country?
No, he's not.
You got your daughter sitting in the G20.
He's not running the country.
You got your son talking to the Russians. Yeah. What are you doing, sir?
He's blocking people on Twitter, obviously. You know what? I'm sorry. It's time to get this little senile old man who ain't got nothing better to do.
Calm down now.
I'm not. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm just saying that this is the job that you willingly signed up for. Ain't nobody forced you to run and be president. Nobody forced you to do all of this. But now that you got the job that you so desired, do it. And now you have millions, hundreds of millions of lives in your hand. You can't sit here and catch feelings every time somebody say you look like a Cheeto and your hair is fake. Like you can't get upset. And I'm really glad that people are sitting there and suing him because they're right. Whether or not you say it on your public or your private account, you are speaking at all times as the president of the free world, the United States. So don't be blocking me on your private account. How do I know that you just didn't tell me that you about to blow up my block? But I don't know that because I'm blocked from your Twitter account. So I mean,
calm down.
You see what I did there?
I mean, you're vexed.
I am completely vexed because he's vexed. I don't like him right now. You gonna block me, Donald? I don't like you right now. You go Allie on Sphere. You gonna block that Twitter account? I mean, if you'd watch, I'd really like to tell you you could just resign now also. But either way, I'm glad that they're doing this. We'll see how far it gets. And we hope that the Supreme Court or that somebody, that at least when they bring this, that they will have the ability to know that they have a right to express, as they said, dissent against the president of the United States. Right.
Well, let me tell you something that's going to probably vex you a little bit more.
Man.
We're going to head over to Oklahoma.
I stay upset.
Where you do. And it stresses me out. Just woosah. Hakuna Matata.
I be trying. I do.
So over in Oklahoma, there's on Friday, a jury was deadlocked in the murder trial of one Shannon Kepler, who was charged with first-degree murder of a 19-year-old Jeremy Lake in August of 2014. Now, the interesting thing about this case, and many of you may not know, especially since it was 3 years ago now that this shooting occurred, this was a white police officer who ended up shooting the black boyfriend of his daughter. He found out that his daughter was dating a black guy, drove over to where I think they were like helping the homeless, drove over to where they were and ended up shooting this guy to death. And he cited saying that, well, the boyfriend had a semi-automatic weapon on him, which police never found. And for the third time, this man has been tried for this crime. And for the third time, they've declared a mistrial based on a hung jury. And I believe in this latest incident, there was no pressure from the judge to force them to continue to deliberate. I think that it ended up being like 6-6 jury split. So it's interesting to me that the judge wouldn't pressure them to move forward and say, normally when a jury is, I think they were deliberating for like 25 minutes. And then came to the decision, no, we're deadlocked, and they declared a mistrial. Normally, a judge would push them and say, yep, you need to go back there, try it again. Some judges I know would give you 2 or 3 times before they actually declared a mistrial. And usually, I mean, deliberations, murder case, going to last you 2, 3, 4, 5, however, sometimes days worth of deliberation. But in this case, you've got a guy who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he killed this guy in cold blood. And even if you don't give him a guilty verdict on first-degree murder, there are lesser includeds that were given for manslaughter, and they still couldn't find this guy guilty. I mean, I don't know what it takes to hold police officers accountable. It's like they're gods among men. I just don't get it.
I just saw Get Out this weekend for the first time, and that scared me enough. So this is added to my frustration and my fear. But either way, let's just be honest. They were coming back from feeding the homeless under a bridge, saw the boy, asked what they were doing. The girl turns around, and then she just hears shots. Wait a minute. You killed the boy because he was dating your daughter and you didn't like it. And you killed the boy because you knew that as a police officer, 9 times out of 10, the way this country is running, nothing is going to happen to you. So at that point, he risked it all for the thoughts of his daughter not being tarnished, or whatever he wants to think that black people will do to his daughter, that she probably already done with somebody who was white. Mm-hmm. But either way, it just seems like we need to be able to have, I'm tired.
Well, I mean,
I am tired.
But how played out is the black versus white thing? I mean, God, dog. I mean, can people not live? I just don't understand it.
You know what?
You hate somebody so much that the pigment of their skin is going to deter you from letting people live their lives.
I think it's projection.
They want to be black, and they're mad because they can't be black.
I think it's projection, because what else could
because we run faster, jump higher.
Because we are. I mean, at the end of the day, would I ever go, you know what? I wish I wasn't black. Please just put me into the ground if you ever hear that coming out.
But
you know
what's interesting, that by that particular comment by itself. First of all, I don't agree that it's a projection, because I think that they really think that we are inferior to them. But the interesting thing is about that statement is that no matter how subjugated we've been, ostracized, oppressed, depressed, whatever, black people, in large part, have always embraced and had pride in who they were as a cultural people. Mm-hmm. We have our nuanced idiosyncrasies about who we are individually, because we say, I wish black people wouldn't do this, black people wouldn't do that. But as a conglomerate culture, black people have always been proud, no matter how far down the rung we have been perceived. We've always been proud of who we were. And that's one thing that I'm impressed by about black society, is that no matter how far down we get, we are still holding our heads up high in regards to what we are. Because
when you think about it, at the end of the day, I mean, first of all, to be black, to me is just, it's a whole nother experience in and of itself that I would never want to trade, because I have the ability to move within so many cultures, so many communities, so many different realms, and I can still come home to my people and be loved. I'm not trading that. I'm not trading that. And regardless if you want to hold me down, I know that the reason why you're holding me down is not because of anything that is true. So I'm not going to let what your untrue and false beliefs about me affect my opinion of myself.
And you shouldn't, Queen.
Thank you.
And I say that with all the hotepetry that I can possibly muster. But I want to let you guys know that this portion of the show is sponsored by The Sphere. Are you starting a business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789 or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. And as we move forward with the next segment of the show, I want us to, and when we talk about these cop narratives, I don't think this is always a black versus white thing. I think that this is a unchecked cops versus the rest of the people thing. And I want that to be very clear, because black people are not the only people that are subjugated to that type of activity. You've got, I mean, all minorities, all people, depending on what a cop is feeling that day. It could be some white on white cop crime. It's a matter of checks and balances. And I think that when you give somebody ultimate power corrupts, you know, and these cops are essentially given just about all the power in the world, and they get to go out on a daily basis unchecked. You know, they can always say, oh, you know, my body cam was malfunctioning, or I forgot to turn it on. Well, you might get a slap on the wrist for turning it off or not having it on, but guaranteed that is not going to lead to you having a prison sentence.
Absolutely not.
You know, so this is more than just a race issue. This is a power struggle. And I just want to leave that there. And as we talk about power struggles, it's always the rich versus the poor. And in this instance, the rich won't look like they're getting any more richer. Over in New Jersey, this is a Millionaires on Welfare sting where over the last couple of weeks, there have been multiple couples over in the Lakewood area of New Jersey that have been being arrested for defrauding our beloved government of millions of dollars. The latest sting sent 12 additional individuals charged for defrauding the government out of over $2 million to jail, because they still have to bond out and have their day in court. But they've been charged for defrauding Medicaid and other government assistance programs by misrepresenting their incomes, saying that, look, we make under the welfare limit. So can we get some of these food stamps? Can we get some of these assistance programs? Can we get some of this Medicaid? Can we get some of these health benefits on your dime? And what kills me is that these cats make over $1 million a year in income on their own, but they're still asking for handout. The irony in this is not lost on me, because the right would say all the time, you know, the minorities are really taking advantage of the system. We need to do things to make sure that we get them off their asses and do what they need to do to get them off the system. They're just really abusing and misusing the system. Guaranteed that these couple dozen people are not the only Caucasians out here defrauding the system, and they are not the only ones that make more than $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year that do it.
I think it goes to the narrative of only minorities, specifically Black, Latino people, are on welfare when it predominantly benefits white people. I mean, let's just say the most welfare funds go to white people, because when you think about it, they are actually the predominant number in our population. Right. So they would honestly get the most welfare benefits, but they choose to focus on a small segment of society. These people earn $1 million in a year and had the nerve to ask for welfare. Like, I don't.
And are taking millions back.
I mean, so it's kind of like, you know, it kind of reminds me of that, I don't know what congressperson it was that was like, I want to test all these people for drugs that are getting all these welfare benefits, and nobody was on drugs. But then you turn around and you test him, and he's the dope fiend.
Oh, that's just like the ones who are advocating for against gay rights, but then come out and you've been doing some
interesting
things yourself.
You were you were actually exploring your own sexuality, and now it goes against what you would say, so it's kind of like, I'm tired of people playing this narrative of the whack welfare queen and the whatever, all these children, all these babies that we have to support. No, how about you run and knock on these people door and ask them for your tax dollars back, because that's
they need
who's
to
paying
go
for.
piss test every person in Lakewood, New Jersey right now and say, God dog, I just need, first of all, I need to know, let me see your bills. Now let me see your piss test. Now let me see your drug test. We just want it just off GP. We just gonna go through the whole city, and every person that makes over $100,000, we need to go ahead and get you tested. I would like to see that. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but it's what irritates me is that you don't see this headline plastered all over the news.
Why is not on Fox News?
This isn't the hot topic of the day everywhere. You see it in bits and pieces, but let this have been some kind of welfare ring in the dredges of Georgia or in the backwoods of Alabama or Mississippi.
Because I know how them people are, and that's what they do.
Saying they would have called it this thug ring of welfarery. And
I don't know if they would have called it that, but
I want them to have called it that.
For you, welfare, the thug ring of welfarery. Very well.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
Look at us on today.
On this day.
On today.
On this day.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I really think that I'm glad to see that the other side is showing their ass.
I want these people to go to jail.
Oh, of course.
All day long.
Not only jail.
Federal. I want this Fed time right here.
Look,
I want you
when you take millions away, you have minorities going to jail for 20, 30, 40 years for not even all aggravated robbery, just robbery itself.
I'm sorry, you have people like that for possession.
I need these people to get not life, because that's just absurd.
Yeah.
But at least 20 years just to think about what they did. You need to learn a lesson, but I guarantee you all of these people are probably going to get something like probation, maybe some house arrest, at most 2-3 years, and say, you don't do it again.
I just no, they need at least
take their money.
At least 5 years to think about it, because you just.
And they're going to say, but what about their families? What about their children?
They should make them do something where they are having to do community service that's valued at how much they took.
They should have to go back and build the houses of all the poor communities. Habitat for Humanity for the rich. Matter of fact, give up your houses.
So
am I being too radical?
I would like them to, in community service, perform the worth that they took from society. It's going to take them a while to do that.
Yeah, because they've never helped. And one was a rabbi. A whole rabbi out here. A whole one.
You know what? I almost took it there, but I did not.
Don't do it.
I look at God and how He saves.
But you know what? Today's been chock full of information. But
this information that you need to know is that this portion of the show is sponsored by Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to the finest possible oral care and overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon the foundation of integrity, expertise, and service. Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are a part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and uncomfortable. Dr. Batiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Chandra Batiste at Elite Dental Wellness. Call them at 713-789-8680.
All right, now. As you so eloquently put that, I'm going to eloquently say it has been a pleasure dealing with you today.
Oh, hey! I'm so excited. Guys, do you hear that? It is July 12th, 2017.
I think my blood pressure actually maintained a status of equilibrium today.
Oh, wow. Welfarery and equilibrium?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, my cholesterol is feeling good.
Oh, gosh.
My eyes aren't quivering right now in rage. None of that going on.
Are you on drugs?
You still have a glow about you.
Oh, my gosh.
Looking like show enough.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, girl. But I want to say thank you to you guys for watching Injustice on the Sphere. Once again, we will be back each and every week for you. Make sure to watch this show. We air on Wednesday evenings. In case you don't know, go to, like I said before, Google Android, SoundCloud,
Stitcher.
Look at you showing up and showing out
I
today.
know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
What is going on in the world? I'm your host, Brennan Dunn. You can reach me on Twitter at Legal Mind. That's mine with a Y because there's always a question to be asked and answered. Alicia?
And you can find me, Alicia Ford, on Twitter and Instagram at AllieOnSphere. We look forward to seeing you again.
Indeed. Have a great day.
See you next time.